Welcome back, everyone. This is the Authentic as Fuck podcast. Hi, Yelena.
Hello, everybody.
Hello. My name is Sun. I'm a storyteller and storytelling teacher. So today we're going to talk about. So in this podcast, we talk about storytelling and how to turn ideas into stories. Um, so yeah, did you say you have some questions for me?
Yes, I was thinking about you just before we started. You mentioned that you watch continuously only Jordan Peterson and Jocko Willenick. So this reminded me of I'm thinking because there's so much content out there, and
Mhm.
we are definitely going to consume content. But I'm thinking in terms of effectiveness. So, what is effective listening and consuming, and what is not effective? So, maybe we can start with why you continue to watch them, and what do you seek? What do you seek for when you
Like,
when you
what's the
listen?
point of consuming
Yeah.
content? Kind of.
For specifically those two guys, because you said that only those two you listen continue on the long
I
run.
continue. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the reason why is because I it's the same thing that I always say. It's I feel like those are the only two people where every time I watch a clip from them or something like that, where everybody says the same thing over and over and over and over. Same old cliche life advice that everybody says, like Gary V, Oprah. Oh, they're just saying the same shit, right? Like how many times can we hear be yourself? How many times can we hear, like run towards your fear? How many times can we hear that, right? Like it's like I already know what they're gonna say. But the thing is, like with Jocko and Jordan Peterson,
Hmm.
they're always giving specific example. Like they don't just say, like for example, Jocko, everything he talks about is ego or something like that, right? Like or mm,
So do they
but then
use
they'll yeah.
examples that are anecdotal or examples that are, I don't know, like some science with
No, their
science back?
examples are like from their own life, like things they've seen or like a lot of times, like my favorite ones from Jordan Peterson are the ones where he said, "I had this one patient who was like this, and then he became like this," or you know what I mean?
Hmm.
Because then now I can like connect the dot between the thing because like it's so important for me. The example is so important because words by themselves doesn't mean anything without context.
Okay, so what did you listen from Jordan Peterson right now, right before we started?
Like right now, he was talking about toxic masculinity and how somebody asked him like, um, how can I? Somebody asked him like how you say to clean your room and to start like about how can I practice that when you know the world um, is constantly putting down toxic masculinity and or something like that, right? I mean, I just started listening to it when you when you came in, so I actually didn't get to hear the answer. But
Okay. Okay. Um, so the thing is how to listen. So how to effectively, because if everything is said, we want to say already said thing in a different way. So we are hearing those things that we want to say. So so I'm thinking in terms of how to be effective, because we listen so that we can change something and post that as something
mm,
that is our idea. So how
You
to.
probably have examples like that every day. Like just in this podcast alone, you've already given so many examples, right? For example, remember that time when you were talking about this girl whose body was like a model, right?
Mhm.
And how that anecdotal example.
Yeah.
That's the content. Do you understand what I mean? Because you can say all about how um, you can talk about the idea of so what was the lesson of that? It's something like giving advice, like maybe like virtue signaling or giving advice to somebody, like like empathizing with somebody that
Hmm.
you like speaking for someone else, right? Because then we started talking about how like I hate it when somebody's like telling me what I should be offended by or what I shouldn't be offended by because I'm Asian. I'm like, you're not Asian. Don't tell me what to be offended by. That's patronizing, right? So for a skinny person to tell a fat person like how they should feel, that's patronizing. Do you know what I mean? Like, because you
Yeah.
don't actually you have. So that's what. So maybe we might say something like, you know, mm, like virtue signaling is patronizing or something like that. But if you say that like that, people don't really know what that means. What does that mean? And what does that look like in real life? But and then you say, for example, when you go to you know when you're trying on a dress that doesn't fit you and you don't like the way you look, and some skinny perfect model comes to you and says, "It's like, oh, you should wear whatever you want." You know,
Hmm.
like who says that these beauty standards, blah blah blah. Then or you can say something like, another thing there is like, who sets the beauty standard? Like the body positivity movement. Who sets
Yeah.
the beauty standard? Well, whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, it's easy for you. It's easy for you to say with the perfect body, but you know, it's
Yeah.
like
And what can be the myth there?
for me, the myth is that, well, if you were to ask me, obviously there's a lot going on there, right? In every scenario, there's a lot going on. But what's the lesson that I want to extract it from it and I want to talk about it, right?
Yeah.
And usually it's going to be something, I think, for me, I'm going to talk about something that I feel strongly about or I want to talk. There are certain things where you feel the need to say, you feel compelled to talk about, and then there are certain topics that you don't really care. So we should probably talk about the things that we're compelled to talk about, right?
Hmm.
And for me, in that one would be would have to do with virtue. Do you know what virtue signaling means?
Yeah. Yeah.
Would have to do virtue signaling. Like the thing that I feel strongly about right now.
I think our lesson there was like giving advice from a privileged place is patronizing, something like that.
Yeah, and well, and the reason why they do it is because it's virtue signaling. The myth is that
I think.
by saying,
Yeah.
"Oh, you should wear whatever you want," is the
Yeah.
kind thing to say, but the reality is it's not. You know,
Yeah. The thing is,
it's
when I
kind
think
for
about.
her. It's called the reason why it's virtue signaling is because she says that because that's the right thing to say.
Hmm.
Like I care about the environment, those kind of environmentalists. The reason why they say that is because it's the right thing to say, right? Or
Yeah.
when somebody says like, "Oh, you don't care about these people, you don't care about these, innocent lives," or blah blah. It's because it's the right thing to say.
Yeah.
And
But what if actually this person is doesn't have attempt to show how good they are, but actually they kind of
Who?
cannot empathize with
The
something.
the model?
The good looking, yeah, the model
Yeah.
uh, is having hard time to empathize with something that she doesn't relate to. It's not related to her, so it sounds fine, not a big issue because it's not her issue. But if we tackled something that maybe is problematic for her, maybe she's not satisfied with I don't know, her salary, and if we talk about money, then she would feel like she's, I don't know, insecure. Maybe if it's just, lack of capacity to relate to somebody that doesn't have a problem like you have.
Yeah, I guess there's probably something about that too. Like, yeah.
So we
But
should
that's why I
choose.
don't think you should give a. That's why I don't believe that you should give advice to some. It's it comes down to this. Like everything that I say, not everything, but almost everything I say. There's two types of. I actually wanted to talk about this. There's two types of things that I said, what's something that you in the world that bothers you, and talk about that, right? Like
Mhm.
what frustrates you, and talk about that. I think there's two ways to do this. One is I personally have an experience. So, for example, I'm naturally a very passionate person,
Mhm.
right? So when I'm telling just be passionate, just have put passion into it. That's actually patronizing because I'm doing what that model is doing
Yeah.
because I haven't experienced what it feels like to not be passionate about something. Do you
Yeah.
understand what I mean? So it's I actually shouldn't talk about that because that frustration is coming out of being judgmental. Like, why are you like that? I'm not like that. Why are you like that? Right? It's a very judgmental thing. But then there's another type of frustration where I made the mistake of giving too many design options to clients, and then eventually I fixed it, right?
Mhm.
And then I see somebody else doing the same thing, and it's
Mhm.
frustrating. But it's a frustration that comes out of empathy. Only if I'm trying to actually help this person, not judge them. Do you know what I
Okay.
mean?
Okay. So we have option judging and option empathizing.
And a
The
lot of
same.
times I feel like when we feel frustrated about something with someone's doing, it's either it's frustrating for me because I'm judging them, or it's frustrating because I can empathize with them, and I wish they knew what I knew. You know?
Yeah. So I mean, when I think about you and how much you emphasize like putting working hard, something like that. So you need to work hard, you need to,
Hmm.
I don't know what you have, but if you want to do something, you will find time.
Hmm. Hmm.
So do you see that as judgmental or as empathizing with other
I
people?
see that as empathizing because I used to be I'm actually one of the laziest person in the world.
Oh, okay. Okay, then it's me. So I pick that up as judgmental,
Hmm.
personally. So
Well, it can come off judgmental sometimes, but it depends on how I say it, right?
yeah, if you're in live, probably it would sound judgmental. We established that.
Hmm.
So I'm just
I don't think so because I'll say something like this, like I talked about the example of people don't understand what hard work looks like, right? And right there, I think that's already. because I think the reason why people don't work hard is because they don't have anything to compare it to. What does work hard mean? Like, here's the thing, right? Um, I actually think the reason why people don't work hard is not because they don't want to work hard, because they don't know what it actually means. Meaning, you know, I have a friend, two friends, they're a couple, but I know them separately. And one of them had told me one time that they went to watch Lion King, and they were confused because in the first half of the show, the child version of Simba was played by a black actor. And then after the intermission, that
In the first,
so first half of the show,
okay,
when Simba was young,
yeah,
well, they're lions, right? The
yeah,
characters are lions, but the actor who plays Simba, the younger version of Simba, was a black actor. And then after the intermission, when it's supposed to be the grown up Simba, the adult version of Simba, was played by a white actor. So
okay.
he was confused. He was like, wait, is that supposed to be Simba? Because like all of a sudden, like a black person turned into a white person. So he didn't realize that it's the same character, just grown up.
Okay.
So it took him a while to get that. Oh, that's actually Simba. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah,
And he
yeah.
said, "Oh, it took me so long. Like it took me like 15 minutes to even realize that it was the same actor, right?" And then later on, we were all together, and his wife, the other friend, also said that when she went to see it, the same thing happened, and she was like, "Oh my god, it took me so long to realize. Like, I was so confused. It took me so long." And I asked her, "How long did it take you?" She was like, "Oh my gosh, it was so long. It took me like 30 seconds." Right? So clearly, they can both say, "Oh, it took me so long to realize it." But
Hmm.
to one person, it's 15 minutes, and the other person, it's 30 seconds. That's a
Yeah.
huge difference. And this is why words don't mean anything without example. But the reason why I brought this up is because obviously these two have a different idea of what long means. Just like I think most people who doesn't work hard don't realize what hard work means. That's why. Hard work means different things to different people.
So, so what it means for you?
I mean, like when I was working a 9 to 5 job, I'm like, oh my gosh, like my job is so hard, and like, oh, working 40 hours a week. That's how I feel like.
Hmm.
But then once I started a business when I was working like 80 hours a week, it was a different story.
Yeah.
And when somebody says, "Oh my gosh, I spent," yeah, when one person's idea of like, "Oh yeah, I'm consistently and I'm practicing storytelling," and if somebody says, I'm spending 2 hours a week storytelling, like somebody at Night Owl Nation might think that, oh, spending 2 hours a week at Night Owl Nation, even 4 hours a week at Night Owl Nation is a lot, right? Like
Mhm.
they're expecting this result, let's say, and
Yeah.
they're spending 2 hours a week. But like when I started making content, I was spending like 20 hours a week.
Yeah.
So like if you're expecting to get to my level when I spent 20 hours a week for a year to do that, and you want to get there by spending 2 hours a week, you're just not going to get there. It's you're dreaming, right?
Yeah.
And I feel
S-
like, yeah,
mhm. So I have like two different now thoughts on my mind. The one is there is one piano player,
hmm,
and she's playing piano. I don't know, like, so they ask her like how much she practice,
practice
and she said that she actually is not practicing that much. Maybe, I mean, for professional piano performers, you need to practice a lot.
hmm,
So she's practicing, I don't know, maybe 4 hours per day.
a day.
Yes.
Yeah, my
uh
sister used to practice 10 hours a day. My sister went to Juilliard. Yeah.
That's what I've heard from other people as well, that you need to practice at least 8 hours per day if you want to be professional player. I mean, in case that this girl is not lying, but
Hmm.
she said that everything is so focused and specific, so that 4 hours or how long it takes her to practice, it's, I don't know, like a machine practicing. After that, it's done, over.
I see what you
So
mean. Yeah.
this is one thing. So how to be effective there. And the other thought,
Well,
what was, I don't know. I'll think.
okay. I don't want to cut you off because if you're thinking about it. So,
Yeah, I cannot get it.
here's a good example of we explaining something, right? Like this woman said she can do a 8 hours worth of practice in 4 hours because she's very focused, right? And it's like a machine and blah blah blah, right? Now, when you say that, even that means different things to different people. Most
Yeah.
people don't understand what that means. Okay, so if I want to
Yeah.
make content, how
I
can I
remember.
bring it down? Okay.
I'm sorry. I remember what was my thought.
Okay.
It's about that. How there was a person that is athlete, okay, for that competition. However, you name it.
Mm.
So, and she said, so my life is so simple. I know when I get up what are three next things that I need to do for that day. So I get up, I eat my breakfast, I go to my training. After that, I blah blah blah. So her life. This is why this is kind of adding to what it means. It's clear steps what is ahead of you. So I imagine if I have, I don't know, I would get up, I would see, what will I eat or something like that. So
Yeah, I
many
see what you
choices.
mean. Yeah. Or you check your Instagram for a little bit,
And
and
then, oh my God,
you
so
read the news, and then you
yes,
sit. So that yeah.
yes,
When somebody says I will work 8 hours a day, they don't really work 8 hours a day.
exactly.
Right? They're like kind of on their Instagram for a little bit. I'll go to Facebook, watch a couple YouTube videos, and then work for like 20 minutes, and then go to the bathroom, go for a walk. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think when somebody says I'm working 8 hours, it actually means they're working like 2 to 3 hours. So that's
So,
one thing. So that's
yeah,
one
so,
thing. But I think what that piano
Mhm.
player was talking about is something different. What? But say what you're gonna say first.
I wanted to say that, so we have hard work, we
Hmm.
have these leakages, or
Yeah,
when time
like
leaks.
focused work versus
Um,
just hours you set aside for work doesn't mean you're working all 8 hours.
yes. And then from this piano player, we
You go
have,
get your coffee, go to the Starbucks, have a chat with a friend.
yeah, you need to go to Starbucks to send an email. You know that you don't know that video.
No.
It is about, because in Starbucks you see people that are on their laptops, they're sending some doing some stuff. So this guy created a video like how to send an email. So first you get up, you take your laptop, you go to Starbucks, order coffee, and then sit down, press send.
Did you see the Family Guy joke where it's like two people? Because
No.
everybody at Starbucks who works at Starbucks are some creative, like they're all writers. They're all writing their screenplay or whatever, right? So two people are writing and typing, and one guy's like, "Oh, you have to be in a coffee shop, and people have to watch you when you write. Otherwise, it's not really writing." And then the other person goes like, "Oh, that's a good one. Let me write that down." And he starts typing, and the other guy goes, "Okay, I'll watch you." There's some truth to that, though. I actually think that that's one of the reasons why office is like, I feel this when office is more productive,
Hmm.
because part of the reason why we part of our motivation for like working or getting stuff done is like also being watched, right? Whether it's your boss or like whatever it is, other workers or whatever it is. And yeah, it's like same thing happened in our office. Like once we had more people, people became more productive. Like,
There is the thing that I mean, this it's also because if you're in the office or in library, so you are everybody are there for one reason. So the setting is there prepared for one reason. When you are at home, you're like, oh, let me do this. Oh, I need to
yeah,
vacuum clean this or something. But
yeah,
then you lose your focus. You have so many distractors. And on the other hand, I don't know how you feel when you are in front of your computer and then somebody is watching you what you're going to do next. So I don't know if you feel comfortable, but in my case, if somebody is like standing there and I need to type something, I'm like, what if I make a mistake or so? I'm much more focused than or if I don't know, I guess in open space office, so you have your monitor there, but from like side view,
yeah,
people
yeah.
see if you are
They
on
can see if you're on
YouTube.
Facebook.
Yeah, so then you're censoring yourself and you have more
Yeah,
focus.
what happens is, I think when when you're in an environment like that, you already know that, okay, I can't watch YouTube, I can't go on Facebook, I can't do these things
Yeah,
because people are going to judge me. So you already just throw that out the window. So once you throw all of that out the window, okay, what am I going to do? What am I going to sit here and do for the next 8 hours? Might as well work. So then you start working. And then once you start working, you get into it.
yeah,
And then once you get into it, it actually becomes fun. And you know what I mean?
yeah, yeah. When I was preparing my master thesis in
That's why
philosophy,
it's hard.
even though I was living alone in my apartment, so I had like everything was there for me to do it. I couldn't do it, so every day I
That's
would
how I
go.
feel at home, working at home. Oh my
Every
gosh.
day I would go to the library, and at that time it was crowded because there it was exam time. So I would wait in front of library for my place. So I would need to go before it's open to wait on I don't know, rainy or snowy snow day, so to come in and to do something that I could do at home. And I was doing that for some few months. But that was the only way I could do anything.
Yeah. I think that's why I'm not really a big fan of work from home. You know what I mean? Like anyone who says work from home works better, I feel like they just don't want to work. That's why. But which is understandable. I mean, if I was a 9 to 5 employee, I'd be like,
I
yeah,
mean,
work from home.
unless if you're Jessica Alba and
Mhm.
then you have completely separate house next to your house that is your office.
Maybe, yeah. Like you mean the environment is set up like work versus, yeah. I think that definitely plays into it. Like physically going to an environment where you're supposed to work versus physically going to an environment where you're supposed to rest. That plays into it too. Yeah. But you know the practice, the piano practice, that's
Hmm.
actually a different thing. So what she's talking about there is she's talking about, because if somebody, people who practice piano 8 hours, they are really practicing. It's not like they're practicing and they just go check Facebook. They don't do it like that. They're
Yeah.
actually practice. There's like a method of practicing, right? But then there's also what's called deliberate practice. And I read this in the book Deep Work. And the people who in a shorter amount of time that excel, it's because they deliberate practice. For example, when you learn how to play a guitar on a song, right?
Hmm.
And you have to learn 4 different chords, or you have to learn an entire song. There are parts of that song that's easier. Like you got it, and it's like, oh, it's good, right? So if you keep playing the same song over and over and over and over, that's a waste of time because those
Mhm.
parts of the song you already got. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or sometimes, like when you're an athlete, you're playing sports, right? Or when you're playing video game or whatever it is, there are parts of that task where it's easy. And what ends up happening is we we tend to want to do the easy stuff because it's fun and it's like, ooh, look how good I am, and that. But that's a waste of time. The people that are deliberate practice, people who deliberate practice, like if for example, if you are really good at shooting layups or like dunking the ball, you're a basketball player. But if
Hmm.
you're really bad at 3 pointers, shooting it from the far, they'll just practice 3 pointer. Or if you're playing the song and there's this one hard part, that's the part you hate the most, they'll just keep repeating that part over and over and over and over. The hardest part that you don't get, and that's called deliberate practice.
So I mean, I guess some people are more into doing deliberate practice than others. So is it
Well,
personality
nobody
type?
wants to do it. No,
I mean,
nobody wants to do it, but
yeah.
it's what you should do. Most people don't do it. Most people don't do deliberate practice. They just they love doing the part that they like, and they don't want to avoid the parts that they don't. I mean, that's why, like, most girls, like, girls love going to the gym and they love leg days. Okay, actually, for guys, it's the opposite. For example, most guys hate working out their legs,
Hmm.
but they love working out their chest. Okay, so what a lot of guys do is they skip leg days. A lot of guys skip leg days and they just keep doing their chest. You know what I mean?
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, it's in our nature to want to do things, to
Yeah.
avoid things that we don't like. So I'm thinking about yeah. Tell me how you avoid deliberate practice, or
All the time. There are so many things I'm avoiding right now.
what do you avoid?
For me, the most fun part of doing anything is the coming up with the idea. Okay, for example, my favorite part of making content is coming up with the idea. Once I
Okay.
come up with the idea, I know that if I just sit for 3 hours and keep writing it and writing and writing and writing and writing it, I'll get to the finish line. I'll go from the idea to the final carousel, whatever it is. But that part is boring
Mm-hmm.
and it takes so long. So what I and here's another thing. It's boring, it's long, and I know for 100% fact that I can do it as long as I spend the 3 hours.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So there's no excitement if
Yeah.
you.
The idea part is different, right?
Mm-hmm.
Once you have that, because you don't know yet. That's the exciting part. Oh, can I do this? Oh, can this? But then once I know I can do it, I don't want to actually do the execution part anymore. Do you
Okay.
understand what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So there are so many things like that. There are so many things even within Night Owl Nation right now. Okay, I know that. I made note of all the things that I need to apply. Like there's more than 20 things, but I know that every single one of them I need to sit down for hours and iron it out. And how can I actually turn this into practical? Like, and that's the part I'm like, just doing the work. But I feel like that's when you look at work, that's really work. Like I think 20% of it is like the part that you don't know if you can do or not that you have to figure out the fun. That's the fun part, right? There's a
Mm-hmm.
mystery. There's like, oh, it's like problem solving. But then once you figure it out, the last 80% is actually doing the work, right? Like once you design the house and you came up with all the cool solutions to your problems, Now the rest is you need to actually measure, do the physics, like put in all the walls, the pipes, all that boring stuff still needs to get done, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Okay. So do you have like a plan? So you have a list of ideas. I know that, right?
I have
So
so many ideas. Like,
and
I mean,
that's
not
on.
ideas, but problems that, um, for me, I feel like the idea for me is kind of like, okay, here's the problem, and here's a vague way I know that the problem can be solved. Now I next actually need to turn that into what is the exercise that I can give? How do I implement that into Night Owl Nation?
Okay.
Let me give you an
Do you
example.
have an example?
So here's a good one. One thing is I know there's like a lot of different things that I know. The work I need to do is I need to combine it all so that I can implement it in Night Owl Nation.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that I know is that right now one of the problems is that um, the assignments that I give are too open ended. The to make it fun so that people come, they do it. It's like, yeah, I did it, and they have a sense of accomplishment, and they come back next week because they want to do it again because they got something out of last week, and then do it again. I need to make the assignments like right now. It's like I'm trying to get them from here to here, but I
Mm-hmm.
need to like make it step by step by step by step, right? So the potential, yeah.
One small question. Do you afraid that maybe if you make something less serious or less, I don't know
Mhm.
how to say it, it will be too easy?
Yeah, that's one, that it will be too easy for some people. And the second thing is like, oh, at this level, it's gonna take them forever to get here. That's my
Hmm.
biggest fear.
Oh, I think it will be the opposite because I don't think it's that long way. I think that if we get the foundation, then everything else comes easier. It's like, I don't know, like exponential way of growth. But this foundation is, for example, this Socratic method that you shared on Sunday service. That was so good, and I think that this is something that I personally need help. I think many people need help because it is it is not like intuitive to try to debunk something and to do it like with your argument. It's just, yeah, it is what it is. It's That's not
Hmm.
true. So this is not an argument, but we do it. So I think this is one important piece of foundation, and if we figure that out, how to debunk that and how to apply that in something we do, everything else will come easier.
Yeah,
So
yeah. But the Socratic method, like right now, the way I explained it, a lot of people don't get it. There are few, there are a small percentage of people who do get it, and they can apply it right away.
mhm.
But then the majority of the people still are like, okay, that sounds good, but how do I actually do it? Right. So I need to break that. So I need to take, like, for example, the assignment from this week and then to break it down into pieces. Here's the thing. I'll give you a good example. So one of the things that we do is connecting the dots, right? So I say, tell a story and then try to find another story that's similar to it. Or
Mhm.
hear a story and then find another. Like, that's too broad. Like, step one has to be this. For me to translate this into an actual step by step thing that people will be like, okay, I got it now. Okay, next step. I got it. Okay, that feels good. I'll come back next week and do it. First step has to be I need to give them two different stories. For example, one is, hey, this one time I was like, I never checked my bank account, blah blah blah, and then another one about you getting on the scale. I need to give them both of them, and I have to ask them, what is the common theme between these two stories? Like, write in one sentence, what is the common lesson in these two stories?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Go. Like, that's step one. So now once they figure that out, okay, step two is now that you know the common lesson there, now come up with your story or different example. Now, third one, you know what I mean?
I see.
And then once they do that, like, so it has to be done step by step, I think. All right? Like right now, I feel like I'm skipping steps. And
Mm-hmm.
that's
Yeah.
why when I do that exercise, to me, the connecting the dots exercise seems so simple. Like, why can't everyone do it? But when we do it, most people are doing it wrong. Why? It's because I think they're missing those steps.
Okay. So,
Or even
so
that step, they have to do it multiple times, I think, before they graduate to the next step.
yeah. I mean, this is not easy thing to uh, critically think and to connecting the dots or whatever. Right now, I'm thinking about Socratic method. So, how to say it in your words what you actually think, if you think
Well,
something. Maybe.
for the Socratic method, I think what it needs to happen is instead of saying, "Okay, my assignment is like, what do you believe in?" and now try to debunk it, right? Instead of that, what needs to happen is I have to actually say something. For example, um, you should always be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Agree or disagree? And then I have to have them, okay, I agree. And then I have to say why. Ooh, okay. And then step two is now, okay, is there under any context, any situation where this is not true? Answer, right? That's step two.
Would
And
you
then I
say
have to do,
okay? Okay.
and then I have to do that a few times with few different statements,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
Like honest, like I have to maybe come up with two or three different statements and then have them first debunk the first one, second one, and the third one, right? And then I have to say, and then the next step might be now come up with your own statement that you believe in, right?
Hmm.
And then give me an argument for that. And then you have to keep practicing that a few times.
Okay. So So you have a lot of ideas, and then you want to right now to try to combine them
Yeah, I need
to.
to implement them into the program.
Hmm. Okay. So so yeah, this is the boring part, right?
Yeah, because I know that if I just sit down for like, I lock myself in a hole for like 2 weeks and just work on it, I know I can get there.
Yeah, but
Do you know what I mean?
yeah. So you assume that you can do it alone, right?
Well, I think I'm at the point where I I think I'm at the point where I need to do this alone first. Like, you know, people. Here's a lesson. In the 90s, like mid 90s and early 2000, this concept of open office became popular. Oh, we want to create a collaborative environment where people can collaborate and all of that shit, right? And that's what people think collaboration means, right? That you're always collaborating. But
Mm-hmm.
when you're always collaborating, you're not actually getting shit done. You know what I mean? You're just having it's a never ending podcast. That's basically what it becomes. There is a time when we should have conversations and collaborate and switch ideas and learn and get ideas from it. And then so that's like I think you should spend maybe like 1 hour on that. And then the next 7 hours actually sitting at your desk and working through that idea and making it work. And then you take that, and then now you do another 1 hour collaboration. You talk about that, and then now you got to go back and do like that's how collaboration really works. And I heard this from Steve Wozniak, who's like the co-founder of Apple. He's the one who like invented Apple One and Apple Two, and he says that that's what happened when in his first job in HP. Like what he loved was everybody would go into their cubicle and work on their own projects, right? And then at like, at 10 o'clock, they'll always bring out coffee and donuts. So now everybody comes out and they just sit there and they start having coffee and donuts. And what do they talk about? They'll be like, "Oh, what are you working on? Oh, what are you working on?" And they start talking about this, like, "Oh, did you try blah, blah, blah?" They have this, and then all of a sudden, new ideas come out. And then now, when they go back to their desk, they're working on that, and then new problems come out. And then
Mm-hmm.
the next day, like, you know what I mean? It's a life and business is a constant problem
Oh,
solving.
this was so
Like, here's a
good.
good example.
This was so
Huh?
good example. One with coffee and donuts. Yeah.
Here's the thing. I think most people, some people believe that is all about collaborating and ideas. Some people think that it's all about just execution. But the truth is, it's a little bit of both. And there's another example. Okay, your boyfriend, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I gave him a set of tasks to do. Okay, finish the portfolio and then send out 50 messages a day. Has he done that? Yeah.
He, I think this is in the process. He finished his portfolio and he went to see my friend that was working as marketing researcher to help him find those places. So they kind of stuck there because they don't know exactly who
Okay.
to.
Okay. You've proven my point. So what happens is when you're too much in the collaboration process. So right now, the thing is, I already gave him a set of tasks to do, right?
Yeah.
But then the next question is like, okay, who should I message? Who should I do? Like they're
Yeah.
like, and you want to like find the perfect answer for that. So rather than just executing the the rough idea first, what he's trying to do, what they're trying to do, is they're trying to perfect the idea before they execute it. Do you
Mm-hmm.
understand what I mean? But there's no point doing that because life is constant problem solving. What you have to do is you have to uh, come up with the idea first, a rough idea that doesn't work. It's like a very vague. I don't even know if this will work or not. And then you have to execute, and through execution you learn, and then it comes new. Like for example, I said, okay, just put together the portfolio, boom, 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 and then send it out. Right? Go and okay, web designer or whatever designer, and just send out 50 every day. After a week, now you've sent out whatever 300 messages, right? What have we learned? Oh, son, I sent out so far. I sent out 300 messages, and not a single person replied to me. Okay, now
Mm,
there's a second problem, right? Okay, so what's going on here? Let's solve that. And then once you do that, now comes another problem. Okay, let's solve that. And it's business is a constant set of problem solving. Execute it. What happened? Okay, now solve that. And it's a constant thing.
yeah.
What
Yeah.
most people do is they never start that execution. As soon as they hit that first problem, they're like, "Oh, it doesn't work," and they stop. But
Mhm.
problems will even today. I constantly I'm solving problems, but you will only run into problems when you're out there executing. And and
Yeah.
and the less you actually execute, the less problems you're gonna have. The goal
Okay.
is to go out and seek problems.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's the
This
same thing with
good lesson.
Instagram. Like,
The goal is to
yeah,
seek problems. Okay.
yeah. And the only way you can find problems is if you go execute your dumb idea. Then you know where the exact problem is with that idea, and then you solve that, and then you execute it again. So
Mhm.
same thing, content, right? Instead of trying to come up with a plan, you start posting, and you start posting every day for like 30 days, and you're like, oh shit, my views are not going up at all. Okay, let's try to see what's going on, right? And then you solve that, and then you try again, and then it's like, oh,
Yeah. So I think he was a little bit discouraged because my friend told him like, why would some hospital like I mean reply to you? You are like nobody, and why would they
mhm.
want your services? So and I think this is part of like
Yeah, it's over analyzing. It's
yeah
yeah, don't predict problems before you face them, because you
yeah
really don't know. That's why you kind of have to be a little bit dumb to be successful, because dumb people don't think about all that shit. Like those two teenagers that you met, right? They
Mhm.
were killing it with their social media, right?
This is crazy. Yeah. So the question
But
is how.
I don't see. I know exactly where he's coming from, and I'm like that too. So it's not like I'm sitting here judging him. Like I know how hard it is, you know.
Yeah. So okay. So so in this case, you need to constantly remind yourself that you need to not think. So this is I see this. I see that I'm thinking, and I need to stop because
Yeah,
things
it's
are
one
what.
of those things that you have to be aware of, right? Like
Mm,
when you're getting triggered, right? When you know, like at that point now you have a choice to make.
yeah.
I know I'm doing this. I'm getting triggered. I know I'm falling into this step. Okay, I need to stop, take a breath for a while, and just like if I'm gonna tweet this. If I waited till my post on my Instagram, if I waited till I was 100% satisfied with my post before I post it, I would have zero posts. There's not a single post that I posted that I actually feel 100% satisfied with.
Yeah. Yeah. We should learn to live with that. So okay.
That's
I
why
mean.
deadlines are good. That's why 9 to 5 job is, because think about it, right? I guarantee you, if you went to university and there was no such thing as semester, no such thing as class, no such thing as grades, deadlines, if none of those things existed and you were free for all to learn and explore, and as like you would have never graduated. The reason
Exactly.
why you graduated and you actually did it is because they forced you into a boundary. And
Exactly.
you know,
I'm definitely that type, and I
oh,
see
me too.
also. Yeah. Um, I see also, for example, in this quarter, when you can go how many times you want on a small group meeting, and I'm motivated, like, I will go to I don't know how many meetings and zero. So, so because it's
So
not.
more option is worse for you.
Yes. Yes, but when I had like one time, this is it, I'm there, and I will prepare for that. So
That's a
I'm.
good point, because there's a lot of running groups here in Austin, and Gigi joined all of them. But
Mhm.
then every morning, when it comes like tomorrow, I'm gonna go to this running group, and then when she wakes up, she doesn't go, right? But then the other day, uh, on one of the running groups, like some guy that's in their running group, like
Mhm.
she was like scheduled to go to their running group, and some guy from their running group was gonna come pick her up so that they
Mhm.
can go. And she actually woke up and went, right? Because now there is no backing out. There's no choice because somebody's coming. Like, you know what I mean? You're forced to do it. So you need a little. We need a little bit of that. Like,
Mhm.
I know this sound like, because what happens is in our mind, I'm like, okay, but if I don't post today, what huge difference it's gonna make? Or if I don't send out these 50 messages, what huge difference it's gonna make? Or if I don't go to the running club today, what huge, like, no big deal. I'll just go tomorrow. But then when somebody's coming to pick you up, you're not doing it because today's gonna make a big difference. You're doing it because somebody's coming to pick you up. Somebody's forcing you to do it. So you do
Exactly.
it even though you, in your mind, you think it's useless. You're forced to do it, so you do it anyway. But you do that long enough, then it compounds. You know.
Yeah. Um, Definitely. When I think about many things, it's proven that it needs to have a little push, not too much of a push, but just a little bit. You know,
So what do you think from this quarter?
Mhm.
Like, what are some ideas you have that we should fix for next quarter?
I was thinking about that today, and um, my like how I would do it is to have again open groups, but to have that you mandatory need that you can skip, I don't know how many, 2 meetings or 3 meetings, something like that,
Oh,
so that
okay.
you can choose, but you need to go at least to one meeting.
What
This is
about you can choose, but there's one main group you belong to?
good.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, everybody belongs to a group,
Yeah.
but you feel free to, you know, be
Join
a
other
guest
group.
in other people's group. You
Yeah,
know.
but still that attendance is not like mandatory, but to have, you count
Hmm.
as a group, you kind of want to achieve um, maximum attendance, or you can have a maximum um, three missed sessions, otherwise you are out for that quarter from that group.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one of those things that I'm thinking about too. Like, how can I?
And I think
You
that
know that in schools, uh, doing attendance grading doesn't work.
Mhm.
Like,
What do you mean by
if,
attendance grading?
like, like, if you miss this many, then you're gonna get a B, and if you miss this many, you're gonna get a C. Those, like, those doesn't it doesn't it doesn't add to the learning.
Okay,
Like, those people that are going there because they're forced to go there, at the end
mhm.
of 11 weeks, whether they go there or not go there, they wouldn't have learned anything. Is what I'm saying. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, if the goal is actually learning, I have to figure out a way for them to want to do it, not being forced to do it. Because as soon as you incentivize something, you grade something, most students, that's why most students are not learning anything in school, because they did it for the grade. They didn't do it for the learning.
Okay, on the other hand, whatever we are learning, it's hard. And if it's hard, it's going to be something
So
we will.
that's why I need to. The first step is I have to make it easier.
Okay, okay.
I bet you if I had an assignment that says, like, okay, step one, here's two stories, find the connection between the two, and write in one sentence what's the common lesson. Once
Hmm.
you've done that, step two, come up with an example story from your own life where you learned that lesson. Now go to a small group and share it. I bet you so many more people will go because they're gonna be like, "Oh, I figured it out. Oh, I got it. Oh, I have a story. Now I want to share it." So, but then, if I give them like some sort of vague, now try to come up with a story in your life and try to find another story in your life that connects the dots. That's too vague. Then I was like, I don't know if I got it. I don't know. I don't have one, and then I don't have one. Okay, I'm not gonna go to the small group meeting because I don't want to go there and look stupid. You see the
Oh,
difference?
I see. Mm, there was something really, I don't know, really powerful in last quarter when everybody needed to send their assignment in the group, and then um, they they needed to reply their thoughts or to contradict that with or to give their example. So it was more structured. Um, I think
I think that's what it is. I think the structure still needs to be there.
yes.
Right now, it's just to open to whatever you want, as much as you want or as little as you want. You know what I mean?
This quarter I did the list, so I'm feeling like a ghost. So, but I'm letting myself to be a ghost. Yelena, the ghost. So
Yeah, it's probably because there's too many options. It's like when there's too many options, like kind of how we say, like when there's too many options and it's like you don't know what to choose, like people will just not choose at all. You know?
yeah, imagine if I don't think we can do that like technically, but if a person can have like one main group and can choose one group alternatively to attend. They can change this alternative group, but only one. And that's it. You've been there or you haven't been there. Hmm?
Like a backup group.
Yeah. Backup group for the week.
Yeah. No,
But
you know what? Let's try it. The old son would have been like, "No, we need to find the perfect solution now and fix it now
mhm,
before we even start." The new son would be like, "Well, let's try it, see what happens."
yeah.
you know?
I don't think we can do that technically because how can you track that?
Yeah, I mean,
With
tracking is going to be hard, but I think it's just a matter of telling them this. Like, even it can be as simple as like
no, I
some.
mean if you tell me that I can attend only one backup group, but nobody knows
Whether you
who
go or
I
not.
chose. Yeah, if I've been there or not, and which group I chose.
No, but that's a different thing. Whether you go, the attendance of whether you go or not. So there's, I think, two different issues. One is like whether you go or not, right? Like even if everything is, so the first problem is like a little bit of structure, meaning right now people are like, oh, I don't know, should I go to this small group or Sunday service, or like if they have limited time, right? They don't. There's
Mhm.
so many options. So just by us saying, hey, no matter what, you have to attend Sunday service. Without, if you don't, like it's a requirement. And
Mhm.
then no matter what, you have to go to your small group meeting. It's a requirement, right? Everything else, forget it. If you have time, do it. If not, don't do it. But those two things you must do, right? Then right away, I think there's a clear structure, right? Okay, on this day, this time, I'm going to go here. On this day, this time, like that'll already fix a lot of this issue. And then
Yeah.
secondly, am I actually going to go or not? That's a different issue. I think that's more have to do with accountability or something like that, right? And but if they're only going because they're afraid of getting kicked out or afraid of this, afraid of whatever the incentive is, losing incentive, then that's the only reason why they do it. So,
But I don't think that we can make people attending something that they don't want to attend if in this type of community when everything is actually, you do voluntarily. So I think this
but it could
push.
be like even incentives, any kind of incentives.
What do you mean when you say incentives?
No, I'm agreeing with you. Like, none of those incentives are actually going to work. Even if it works, it doesn't work. For example, let's say
Okay.
if you
Okay.
have perfect attendance, I'm going to give you free coaching. That's an incentive. But then the only reason why they went is because they want to get the free coaching.
Yeah.
So it's, and what happens is by having that incentive, I'm already devaluing this. I'm telling you that, oh, this thing is not important. That's why I need to give you incentive to do it.
Mm,
So it already devalues the thing, right?
yeah.
And but then if I actually make it so that it's fun, right? It's like I give you a video game and you play it. Oh, it's hard. I finished it, and that's the reason why you want to go to the next one. Then you're actually going to improve. That's why I know for a fact that like restructuring this program is the most important thing, and restructuring those assignments is the most important thing. But
Do you think that you should have like one quarter should have all part, like, I don't know, reflecting, connecting the dots, pattern recognizing, everything in the quarter, uh, or you should focus more on one thing?
if you want to hear the rest of this conversation, go to sunE.co/subscribe or just click on the link in the description to get on my mailing list. It's totally free and you'll get the full episode in your inbox every week.